Hello everyone. Today we're going to do betrayal with friends. This is really a hard one, the betrayal with friends. It doesn't always end that well, this one. Sometimes I think family and a loved one can actually have more possibility than the friend one, because when you have a friend, you usually trust them, and when they break the trust, often, and you get betrayed by them, often you'll find it really hard to actually mend it, and that's not necessarily your fault. A friend is someone you have chosen, and a friend is someone that you love and someone that you're supposed to be able to trust. That's what makes them a friend, not an acquaintance. Acquaintance, you won't tell them certain things or lend them money or do different things with them that are based on the foundation of trust, but a friend is. And when a friend betrays you, it feels really, really bad. It's not good being betrayed by your friend. And it can happen often, and people can do it over and over again in one friendship even. So I want you to be aware of the fact that if you've got a friend who easily betrays people, you might want to decide whether you want to invest in that friendship as much. It's important to be able to trust people in the friendship, because that's what makes it such a strong relationship, that you can tell them things, your secrets, even things about yourself that you wouldn't normally share with other people, and they be quiet and don't tell anyone else. This is what you need. You also need a friend not to lie to you. So if you found out they've done something wrong to you, they need to be able to tell you the truth. And some friends can do that and others won't. Unfortunately, people who betray you as friends will often actually step away as well. They do not like being made accountable for their actions. They would rather just ditch you. And I want you to be very aware of that, because unlike a love relationship where there's more investment and or family, which is also more investment, friends will often just not want to take any responsibility for what they did wrong. So if you pull them up on something or you find out and challenge them, it's very likely that they will just go into a big huff and not ring you back, and that'll be the end of it. I want you to remember that if they betrayed you and they broke the trust, it's actually up to them to fix it. Now, you might try and go in there a few times. I've done this, gone in there trying to mend it. But if they continue to behave in this way and mistreat you, you're landing up almost in an abusive relationship now, especially emotionally and mentally and psychologically. And you have to decide whether that friendship really is good for you and healthy for you. A good friend puts you first. They put your needs first in the relationship. And I've done podcasts on this for relationship situation. So you need to now see if they're putting you first. If they're not putting you first and they're always putting themselves first, then they will more easily betray you and they will lie to you more easily than if they are looking after you, because people who are selfish usually lie more easily and they're more open to betrayal. The betrayal can take many forms. It can be things like sleeping with your boyfriend. It can be things like getting your family in with your family and then bad mouthing you or telling secrets about you to your family. It can be things they do with your partner that you don't like, that you're crossing the boundaries of your friendship. It can also be to do with money. If you lent them money and they won't pay the money back, or they got you in some scheme and now you're losing money. The friendship crosses all the other things of the family and the love relationship, but it also has another component, and that component is they're someone you've like chosen, like outside your family particularly. Your family just like given to you. Your friend is someone that you choose. And even though your partner is also someone that you choose, it has a different aspect to it. So you chose to have this person as your friend, but you have to make the choice if they've betrayed you, whether you want to continue that. As I said earlier, often they will make that decision because they won't take responsibility for it and they'll run away like the naughty dog in the corner. It's not always your decision. If you find they betrayed you and then they end the relationship, well, they didn't think so much of it, did they? They didn't value it as much as you did. So it's up to you whether you go in and try and retrieve it or whether you just let it go. Often when they get into trouble again, they will ring you though. You need to be really aware of that. If you've been the healing, helping, good advisor friend, they will just forget what they did and they just ring you up and act like nothing's happened. It's like, hang on a minute. And you have to decide whether you're going to still help them or not. I think we can forgive our friends for the things they do, but there are some things that I think are very difficult. For example, if they sleep with your boyfriend or your husband, I think this is going to be hard. Or if they make problems within your family, which some friends can actually do, and split the family with you, they can make really big issues with you in your family. And that's when you really need to decide whether this person's not going to be a little bit caustic and toxic for you. And some people who are your friends, you be a little bit like blindsided by them. Maybe you see them with rose-coloured glasses. You only see their good parts, and you don't see the other parts of them. And once betrayal comes in, you tend to see the other parts of them. It's often, if you watch how they treat other people, it's always a good indicator. How they speak about other people, how they treat other people. That will show you a little bit about how they actually treat people in general, and you will actually be in that group. You won't be different from that group. It's very hurtful, and it will make you really angry if they betray you, particularly if you've invested a lot in the friendship. If it's a long friendship that you've had, I think it's even worse, like if you've been friends since you was at school. But at the end of the day, you need someone who's going to treat you well and respect you and who you can trust. And some people get very disrespectful. They think in friendships they can say whatever they like to the other friend. They can tell their friend they think they're mental. They can have a go at their friend for being gay. They can be a bit racist when they're with you, perhaps, if you're of different races, and make jokes about your family. Sometimes friends will actually cross lines they shouldn't cross. And you can say something to them initially, but if this continues, you might also want to have a look at that. Being someone's friend does not give you the right to interfere in their life or to say whatever you think and be tactless. It really doesn't. The friendship doesn't give you that right. And some friends tend to think they can do that. And they will also start to treat you at the beginning very, very well. And then sometimes you'll find you just keep being passed over, or they don't tell you everything, or you find out that you didn't get invited to their birthday party or something. And they think that's okay. If you are being betrayed by your friend, you really have to look at who the person is. Are they worth trying to fix it up with or not? And people have different worths for you and me. What I want in a friend and what you want might be different, but you should be able to feel safe with that person, and that person looks after you and never does anything to hurt or injure you. And if they're hurting and injuring you and being selfish and also negative, and that's the other thing, if you're a positive person, you might find after a while you can't be with that person because they're so negative. It's just exhausting to be with them. And the victims are really hard to be with as well. And if you are trying to not be a victim, or you've become a survivor of your life, or you're just not a victim type, you're going to find them hard to be with too. It's important that you think about this. It's terrible to lose what you would consider a good friend. However, if the betrayal has been bad for you and they are making no concession or way of fixing it, or if they're not really sorry, you really don't have much to work with, and they will just do it again, because unless they take responsibility for it, they'll just behave or treat you in that way again. And I want you to be very clear about that. People actually don't change unless they want to change. And internal change is actually quite hard for people to do. And people who lie will find it really hard to tell the truth. They really struggle with that. So if you lost trust in your friend because you've been betrayed and you think the friendship's important, go in there again, set up some boundaries for yourself and try again. However, if they've betrayed you too much, it's okay to have a separation and a time apart. Sometimes people don't value us when we're standing right next to them, when we're not in their life, shining our light and our love on them. That's when they really start to see who we are and what they've done. And so if they come back and make honest, concessions, and say they're sorry and say they won't do that again, or it was dreadful, and take complete responsibility. Maybe there's hope for it. But if they don't do that, let them go. Just let them go. The universe will just send you in another better one. And this time you won't choose one who's a bit dodgy. And don't feel bad about that. People come in showing us one side of them, and it's only in time that I see the other side. Have a look at the friendship, see if it's worth keeping or if it's okay to let it go. And you'll get over it and you'll meet someone else better, I think, because now you've learned a lesson and you've looked after yourself and told yourself that you're worth more than this. You're worth being treated better than this. And if that person wants to betray you and not treat you well, they don't get to be with you, I suppose. And in the end, it will feel like your loss and you will actually really miss them. You'll miss them a lot at the beginning. But after a while, it really is their loss. Because if you were the better friend, they've lost a really good friend and you've lost a really crappy one. So I'll leave you with that, and I'm sending you lots of love and lots of healing, and I hope you meet some new really good friends in the future.